Hey everyone, BT here. On this very special episode of the Successful Mind podcast, we are going to revisit last week's Ignite Your Spark, in which we had talked about wishing we had had Julie Dell Phillips on to ask her the questions that helped push her through to her success as a working actor. Well, due to the powers that be, we were able to make that happen, and we wanted to share the entire full-length interview with you on this week's podcast. So, we hope you enjoy.
You're listening to the Successful Mind podcast.
Successful people learn how to make their minds work for them.
We are Life is Now, and this is the Successful Mind podcast.
Okay, so let me give you context. So David and I recorded a podcast last Monday, and the podcast was really about persistence and how most people are all about, well, it was about a lot of things, but we really showcased you and your story because it really is extraordinary, and it's actually quite profound. Most people would have given up a long time ago. Actually, most people would never have done what you did. No, most people would have just stayed in
from
Texas
the beginning.
with your husband and not gone after your dreams. So we wanted to highlight you for that reason. And we were sitting there having this conversation, like sharing your story. And we had this moment on the podcast where we were like, why didn't we ask her to be on here? David's like, yeah, we should have asked her to be on here. And then at the end of the podcast, Brandon said, why don't we see if she'll do an interview and I can cut it into the episode so that it would be like part of David and I highlighting you and talking about your story, and then part of you actually sharing your experience, because David and I don't know your whole experience and what you've gone through and the ups and downs. And
oh gosh, yes, right.
So,
how long do we have? It's
yeah. So what we're going to do is just ask you some questions so that we can get a little bit of you in the podcast, and you can share your story with the people that are listening, because it truly is so inspiring. So that's why I reached out and asked if you'd be willing to hop on here.
I love it. And thank you so much. It's so interesting, isn't it? We all see where we are right now at this moment in time, right? And that's, just like David and you all have said right from the beginning, if somebody tells you what you're going to have to do and what you're going to have to experience right from the get-go, it would be a binder, yay thick. And
nobody would do it.
Nobody would ever, because you're like, what are you even talking about? And like you must be tripping, because that is serious stuff that you've never considered.
Yeah. Well, we talked about your meeting with us was in 2016.
Around this time.
2016, around this time. And
exactly.
you admitted, I want to be an actor. I want to move to LA and be an actor. And David and I were both like, then that's what you need to do. And your reaction was, are you serious? Like, are you serious? So why don't we start there?
Yeah.
Why don't we start with there. You kind of just telling us like how you actually got to the decision that you were going to do this?
Yes. In fact, it's something that, it never just happens, right? Mm-hmm. It's always there brewing. It's always there inside. And I had started pursuing acting once again from when I was much younger in elementary, middle, high school, and some in college. But all of that was very, school or community oriented. And I had some really great success for someone who seriously wasn't trained and was naturally drawn to doing all of that and, somehow embodying. And
you really loved it?
I loved it. It was right from the beginning. And I came from a musical family, very musical family. I mean, to be a daughter of Joe and Deletta, it's like you have rhythm and music going in you all the time. I probably heard it every day, multiple times a day, from conception. So, and so music has always been a huge part. And I came by that very naturally. But I think what I was really always very drawn to and didn't realize it for a long time was the storytelling in music and how it transforms people's lives. And then knowing that I could also do that on stage by saying someone else's words and embodying a character. So in launching into that, long before 2016, I had been acting in Texas for probably 14 years before that, community, driving to Austin, Dallas, living in San Antonio, driving to Houston for callbacks, driving to Austin for auditions, getting a substitute for teaching, dropping all my kids off, early in the morning, driving up to Austin, doing an audition, racing back down I-35 to get my kids from school, all of that. And then, or even Dallas, getting a substitute and driving to Dallas for an audition, and then taking time away from spring breaks and everything. So I was already doing it and loving it and wanting more of it. And then meeting you all. And then something about that truth of just acknowledging that it's okay for me to want what I want. And
before you met with us, what were you telling yourself in your head about what you were currently doing versus this is where your heart was with the acting? How are you justifying staying in the place that you were and not pursuing it? What was going on?
Ooh, great question. I think I was thinking that I had to somehow be discovered there in order to justify, because people and amazing, brilliant people that I was working with in the industry there, they were giving advice saying, oh, you'll know because it'll be really big and it'll be really obvious. But that wasn't the experience that so many of us actors were having. And we were having success in the independent film realm, and things were starting to pop into like Hulu and Netflix and streaming services like this, and landing, and with starting to film like proof of concept or web series that were starting to land. And in my mind, I kept thinking, well, that must not be it yet, because that's not something that's like being splashed on, the AMC theater screens or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And so I kept telling myself, well, they must know what they're talking about. And yes, to an extent. But the piece that you all helped to really highlight for me was acknowledging that everything I need is within me, and anything I don't know yet, I will find out. There is a way. It is possible. And I am living and doing what I know to do. So if I get to the place where you are doing it all the time, and it is who you are, who, daily, what you do, who you interact with, and now and you can step into it more fully. And
wasn't there a piece about this, about most of the opportunity being in LA at the time?
Yes.
And you were torn between, your family, and yet how could you be out there and be in that environment on a consistent basis so that
Yes.
you're seen and get those experiences because you weren't getting enough of them where you were.
Exactly. And yes, and that was a huge frustration piece for me, because I would go out for these auditions. I would get these callbacks, with big directors and for big projects. And it would be there in Austin or Houston or Dallas, and sometimes even go in for like a chemistry read, and then not hear anything. And you hear, one day, oh, it's been cast. Now it's already been filmed, right? And, and you realize, you were left out of the conversation after that point. And then you find out, well, who got the part? Well, they were bringing in actors from LA who looked and sounded just like me. And, so I thought, well, this is truly interesting that they're going to bring someone in, but they also know the audience, or there's the whole business side of it. But it really was one of those pieces that kind of confounded me. And I thought, well, if that's where I need to be, then that's where I need to be in order to be seen. And I do get it now that I've been here for almost 7 years. There is the piece where the casting director hasn't worked with you enough, and they see your work and they like you and they really are drawn to everything you're presenting on screen. They don't have a history with you. And so
that's important.
It's basically the case of going with the known versus the risk or the unknown,
Yeah.
And that quickly became very apparent to me when I got here. Oh, okay, you get in, and now these casting directors are calling you in regularly. Now they know you. They know the consistency that you bring. They know the persistence, the absolute, like, I am here. I am still here.
Let's hang on a second. Let me talk about that for a second, because I have been working with people, so Steph and I both, for years and years and years, where people have said to us, my dream is to be an actor or an actress or whatever. And they'll do something like either they're in LA or they'll go to LA or whatever. But within months, they're not getting screen tests, they're not getting interviews, they're not getting auditions, nothing's going on. And they quit. They end up going in a different direction. The other thing that we hear is about, supposedly, I don't know if this is current, but the last I heard, there were about 1 million people a year that go to LA with the idea of getting into the movies, into film, right? With that many people going in, there's going to be an enormous amount that they don't get seen. And a lot of it's going to have to do with they're not being persistent. And you're talking about just how important that persistence is in order to build a relationship with the people that need to be able to work with you so that they know who you are, they can count on you, they understand you, talk a little bit more about that.
And that is a huge piece, David, that consistency. You really brought this home. I know my parents, gave me some pieces of this. You literally unlocked this door for me and kicked it all the way open and showed me, you have to not give yourself an out. If this is absolutely your desire, white hot desire, you can't even see straight without it, right?
Yeah.
And I still know, even right now we're talking, I know that is it. And you said, then burn the ships. And so, you think you know what that means. And along the way, then you find out what that means.
And what
find out that you're now filming this recent project that I, was nominated and finalist, for Best Supporting Actress. You find out that the day after Christmas, you're on set at 6 a.m. day after Christmas. And on New Year's Day, you're going to be filming for now 16 hours, 14 if you're lucky, but plan on it, right? And like yesterday morning, I was up at 4:30 a.m. and I was out in Riverside filming on set, by 7:20. So it is a commitment. I know.
What has burning the ships over this 7-year period been?
Wow.
Like, give us an idea of what ship burning has meant personally in your life. What have you had to burn in order to be able to live this dream?
What haven't I? Maybe we should start with what haven't I had. Well, I had to burn a whole lot of old patterns. Just like you said, boy, it like crops up in the most insidious ways every now and then. You're like, what? Why am I doing that? And attachments.
Well, you moved there.
Well, huge, right?
So that's a first step.
And I loved where I lived. I loved San Antonio. It's an amazing place to live, Friends, my family. Moved away. No friends, literally out here. There was one young girl that I had done a film and project with that I knew had moved out here, but she was in school, USC, I think. And we connected one time when I got out here. And even that was like a massively quick coffee, and she was like, gotta go, bye. And, just, that believing in yourself in a way and betting on yourself in a way that you have never bet on yourself ever before. And you don't even know what that's going to look like until you're standing there trying to find an apartment, find this, find that, get a manager and get to set. And all the, you just start learning the ropes in a lot of ways. It's so different.
So when you got there, did it then become a process of taking it one day at a time? Like, what do I do? We need to do next. And
Truly. And I was in your program, the Just Believe. And I remember talking with Sarah one day and I just said, I don't know what they want. It's like I'm auditioning. I don't know what they want. And she said, they want you. And that, it's like all those, it's settling down into the me that I am, that nobody else can be, that's unique.
Yeah.
And doing it. The audition is not even looking at it as the job, but the audition is the sales conversation. You guys are, I think to me, relating in my mindset and all of the courses and the different trainings I've done with you all, it's just so brilliant that I saw pretty quickly on that, yes, it's a sales conversation, but it's the way I'm going to have the conversation.
The authentic you.
Yes. Truly. And I'm not going to be the 5'10" model. I'm 5'2". But I am filming this weekend a proof of concept from some people who reached out recently, and it's spot on, 100% in my niche, and I absolutely love the stories that they're telling. And this is what I love collaborating. That's the other piece, is you have to be in the place long enough to develop relationships with people, up and coming and with established people, who are also on their own journeys, and then trusting that the universe, God, is going to just, when the time is right and the project is there, that you will also be there. This is what's meant for me, is not going to pass me by. And it just feels more true today than ever.
How much over this time frame, how much rejection have you had to deal with? Just curious.
I have not counted the hundreds, if not thousands, of auditions that I have submitted, that I've never heard one thing back from.
Yeah, they don't even tell. If they're not interested, it's not like they call you and say, "Hey, listen, sorry, this just wasn't for you, but you're going to be okay and you're going to make it." They ghost you, right?
Right. And I did quickly learn that getting the audition was pretty huge. It meant you resonate with that project, you resonate with that character in this world of the story. Yeah. And it's not just this breakdown that says, woman, and then, whatever, in any ethnicity. And then it gives the qualities in a certain age range. It's so much more than that. They already know, pretty much the story they're telling. So they're going to be dialing it in. And if you look like, and your materials are literally selling you into that world, that story, then it helps you to, to even just to get the audition. But David, wow. I mean, even this year, I've submitted, I would say 30 auditions that I haven't heard back from. And
how do you deal with that personally? Do you have a process, or how do you not let that get to you? Because it's so crushing for so many people, right? They overestimate how much time it's going to take. Everybody wants to be an overnight wonder, the person that they're discovered over at Barney's Beanery or something like that. And then but that's not the reality of it. So how do you deal with the rejection?
That truly is the exception. And the quicker you just accept that, like this just is, the better. Early on, I think just working your tail off for this, 3 scenes, 8 pages, something like that. You've just spent 3 to 5 days of your life embodying this character. Yes, it's often challenging to let it go. I have a folder over here of they're probably about the last 15 auditions that I've submitted, just in case I get that call back. But I try to, I walk away from the taping, the submission of the material. This is just me and my process. Yeah. I walk away now go do something else, something I love. I go outside for a big long walk or a hike, or I'll get in the kitchen and cook something really yummy because, of course, I haven't eaten and whatever. And then or sit down and watch a new show that I've been dying to watch. I get myself completely out of that world, that character, and I try to just be me for a little while.
Do you have to say anything to yourself or do anything so that you don't take it personally? Or have you just gotten to the point where you're like, this isn't personal and I'm cool with it?
Yeah. Okay. So you can ask me that on any given day and I might say something different. Especially when especially when I've just had, like, I submitted the audition, they put me on a veil, like immediately. This literally just happened. They put me on a veil 2 days after I submitted it. Woo! That means they really want you, right? Okay. They put you on a veil for this project that shoots in 10 days. And like, you didn't even get a call back. That doesn't, you pass go, you are on your right.
Yeah.
Like, it's just down to them completely booking you. And then radio silence. And then you find out, you're like, well, it's been about a week, maybe 9 days. And you're like, ooh, that's really close to when they're going to be filming this, and so you contact your manager. Hey, any, just curious, reaching out, circling back. And then they find out, oh, you're released from a veil. Yeah, they had an offer out for, somebody, a big name, and you never knew any of this, of course, right? Yeah. All you saw was you put in the work and diligently did exactly what we do as actors. We taped it, submitted it, put on a veil. That's all you know. Right.
Which means
those are a little more challenging those are the hurdles that I can often stub my toe on, so to speak, like go, what?
Yeah. And you have to keep your schedule open and you have to be ready to go at a moment's notice.
That's exactly it. Exactly it. And it can be really disorienting. I really understand, anybody coming from a corporate job or, well, like I came from teaching even, you usually have more notice than that, this really is, maybe it's because of Bruce and his, musician, the gig mentality, that I was able to accept a little more of this, maybe a little more easily. But it's some of them are a lot more challenging to let go because you're like, there's a reason I felt so good about that, right? Like, there are some that do feel a little bit wonky, could be the writing or something like that, but others are a little more challenging to let go of. Nowadays, I put it in the folder, go do something else for a little while and just be me and say, and like, really, and then at the end of the day, I have the gratitude journal, all right, 3 things that I am grateful for and 3 things that I'm really proud of myself for. I am proud of myself. I swung for the fences on that one. Man, that was good. And I really, now I know it's, craft is king, but they want me.
Yeah.
And nothing else will matter. I will be the one. And then there's the ones that the showrunner, the executive producer just told you, wow, okay, yeah, wait, you'll be hearing from us. And then you hear nothing. and then 2 weeks later, you see them and they say, it was the producer's sister-in-law. there's nothing you can do, out of your control, completely out of your hands, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the business as well.
Yeah. How is this? So you mentioned Bruce briefly. How did this affect your relationship with Bruce?
Wow. We have, it's been such a journey. We both started out with you in the search for how to live our most full expression of who we are in this world, in this life. And just really coming to see each other for each other individually, and knowing we love each other dearly, deeply. We support each other in every way we can. And we've learned now all the ways we are not able to support each other or even fulfill each other in certain ways, right?
Sure.
But that's okay, because we're not meant to be everything. Cannot be everything to everybody.
That's powerful.
And yeah. And so, boy, those first 2-3 years, it felt a little bit like a roller coaster ride. One day you're up and one day you're down, and yet still knowing I want the best for me, and I'm going to put myself first as much as I can. And I love him, and I will do whatever I can, whenever I can, to love and support and enjoy life together. So, I think there's a lot you can say about all of that. The journey is the journey, and everybody's journey is so different. And we are in such a good place now.
Well, the amount of maturity that it's taken both of you to do this, right? Because he's in Texas, you're in California. The amount of acceptance, the maturity, the willingness to grow, the admission of where you can't support each other. How do you get your needs met? I mean, it is one of the main excuses that people will make when they wake up to their dream after they've created the responsibility of marriage and children. Like, well, now I can't because I'm married and I have kids. But you've proven that, with personal growth, anything is possible here.
Truly. You just said it. It's, and I know that there are areas where we each are even still like learning and growing. I was researching because I too I'm creating my own, content now, and, stories I want to tell.
Right.
And I think that's part of the beauty, is that I think I've always wanted that, but didn't know how to, I was like, well, I won't even be seen as a real actor unless I do other people's stuff first. And that's really, up for debate.
It's a story. It's a story, right? It's a story.
Right.
We live in a totally different time with all kinds of possibilities now. So that's just another story.
Exactly. And then just understanding, well, wait a minute. I think it's so powerful that you and your training and the growth in the places of oh goodness, I just lost the thought. Where'd it go? It'll come back here in a second.
Well, here's what I love about this, Julie, and I'm so honored to have you here with us. It's such a great story that you're telling, is that it doesn't apply just to acting. Like everything you're saying is all about more life. It's all about what David teaches. It's all about the sacrifice, the work hard. I mean, you're one of those 2% of the world that makes a living being an actor. And I think that in itself is so powerful. And I think anybody who comes to the Successful Mind podcast is looking for that little hack or that little nugget or that little piece of information that's going to help propel them to the next phase of their own evolution. Because so many people have a dream, but they don't pursue it. You had a dream and you did that. So if there was one thing that you would leave our listeners with that, you know, whether it speaks to the adversity or the resiliency or the absolutely white hot desire that you spoke of, because I know that there's people listening to this that probably are struggling with reaching that dream and they make up all these excuses. What would be your piece of advice that you would send them with to take that leap?
Yeah. And I think it would be me talking to myself. If I were able to go back and talk to myself, okay, I just time jumped 20 years back, 25 years ago, and said, you know what you want. Let yourself want that and start taking the steps every day to set within you, within your mind, within your body, within, if it's where you live, and know that, yes, things are going to change. They're going to change anyway. Why not change them? Why not move towards every day as much as you can, whatever ground you can make every single day towards what you want? Why not do that now? And bet on yourself, because there's more in there than you could possibly imagine.
That's great.
I can't even still fathom. Like when I look at my 3 to 5 year plan, I'll be like, what? Okay. Yeah. Yes. I can't wait to do that. And it's exciting. Yes, there are down days, but it's far more exciting to be moving forward. So during the pandemic, I didn't know I was going to be part of a theater group that moved online. And then now all of a sudden, producers and directors are coming to us with their material. Hey, can you table read this for us? Because we can't get together with anybody to do that now. And we were like, yeah, sure, bring it on. And then some things started to really lock in. And then we filmed Retrograde right after Christmas for 10 days, 2 weeks. At the time, it was a film. And then after we filmed the whole thing, then during 2021, all of a sudden, several things happened. Everybody was having to pivot. Everything has to pivot in order for other things to happen. And it's like you don't know it until you're having to do it. And then later you're like, wow, I didn't even know how much I was going to need that. And then we pivoted from it being an anthology series, like, film 1, film 2, film 3, to it being a TV series. So now we've got season 1 and 2 already in the can. And season 1 is what's touring right now. It's in London in 4 hours. It premieres in London tonight. And we're up for 3 awards for that as well. And listen, this cast, I cannot say enough. Our director, Max Decker, and this cast, it's just so powerful when you surround yourself with other like-minded actors who want to absolutely play full out. And you cannot play safe.
Environment's a real thing.
Yeah.
And you cannot judge any of it. And that piece of our relationship was pretty huge as an actor. I needed to not be judging me, my desires, in any facet of my life. And I needed to not be judging anybody else's that I'm in relationship with. And I grew up doing that. I know it's such a pattern. I'd be lying to just say that it doesn't naturally still, pop in. I try to let it go as quickly as I can now. It just
part of our own discerning process.
Yeah.
It's just we can't let it get in the way.
Yeah. It doesn't serve me in any form. and then another piece I was going to tell you is letting something go. The quicker you can let something go, with auditions, callbacks, pins, avails, whatever, the quicker something else can come. That's the other piece that I was going to tell you is now I've learned that the quicker you let it go, the more space you're able to hold, so to speak, for where else it can come. Where else can it come from? Because I truly do believe it is trying to get to me as much or more as I'm trying to get to it.
That's right.
There's a better way to say that, but and the better it gets, the better it gets.
Yeah.
Right?
The universe wants you to be more successful than you want to be. It's always trying to get to us. We're the ones that block it. Right. All that. It was so, all the things were necessary. I had to move out here in order to know my own limits in a way. And then to test those limits to find out that, those weren't really my limits. So here's my limits. And then to find out, no, those are not really my limits. Nope. You just kind of keep kicking that limit thing and going, wait. It's like the hall of mirrors or whatever, the doors, the door that goes through the door. You just keep kicking, that. Yeah.
And then now you are where you're way down that corridor, wherever that is, right?
For sure.
Well, for someone who hears more no's than yeses in your current profession, I think it's amazing to hear you share your yeses and your continued yeses. And we can't wait to see where you go. This is just the next phase. And I love that you're talking about doing your own content. I cannot wait to see and hear those stories. It's incredible, Julie. Congratulations for all of your hard work. You're such an inspiration to all of us here and everybody who's listening for sure.
Yeah. And this is going to be such an inspiration for the people that listen. There's so many people that are just love the message and to share in that journey. So thank you. Thank you for being on this with us today.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's an honor. I was pretty flabbergasted when you asked. I was like, oh, hey.
We were really excited to do it. We were so excited when we heard about your success. So thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
All right. Bye-bye.
Take care. Good luck. Thanks for listening to the Successful Mind podcast. If you like what you've heard and you want to know more, go to lifeisnowinc.com.